What's good? It's your boy Fanon. All right. Mikey Garcia is going to be facing Robert Easter Jr. to unify the 135-pound belts, the IBF belt, and the WBC belt. That bout is coming up pretty soon in the next few months. I don't have the date in front of me. However, let me assure you, I am truly excited about that bout and going to start talking about it, more and more as it gets a little bit closer. I think a lot of people are underestimating Robert Easter in that bout, but I think it's rightful that Mikey Garcia is rightfully favored. However, I just think that people are underestimating Robert Easter Jr. Now, that said, skipping past that bout, Mikey Garcia, as we know, last year, actually it was earlier this year and recently, said that he would be interested in facing Errol Spence Jr. Errol Spence Jr. is the IBF 147-pound boxer. He just beat Carlos Ocampo to defend his belt for the second time. The bout happened in Frisco, Texas, at the Dallas Cowboys training facility. And the numbers were solid numbers, sold out the place to around 13,000 people. So, he's a hot and upcoming boxer as far as his popularity goes. And he's also widely regarded as the number one welterweight. There are some people that think that Terence Crawford is the number one welterweight. I'm sure there's some hangers on talking about Keith Thurman, but by and large, Errol Spence Jr. is considered the big bad guy on the block. And Errol Spence Jr. said, hey, if Mikey Garcia beats Robert Easter, then hey, why not? He'll take it. So I'll go through that and what I think of that. And in short, look, man, Mikey Garcia better be Roberto Durán. If he ain't Roberto Durán, he's going to get rolled. And that is about that. I happen to believe Mikey Garcia would be serious about taking. But I think that everything coming out of his camp and just a whole lot of right-minded people in the world should steer him as far away from that scenario as absolutely possible, except for if the case that they really do believe that he is a Roberto Durán level boxer. If, with that, where his punching power can move up to 147. Other than that, man, he shouldn't go that route. And I don't want to go so far as to say that I think he is he's just fronting, because I don't. I mean, I hear it in his voice. I believe what's coming out of his mouth. However, and I believe Errol Spence would be more than happy to take the bout, but he was very insistent on saying, look, I'm not calling him out. So if I take the bout and I do that guy really, really bad, don't blame me. It was going to be a good paycheck. So let me go through what they say and then talk a little bit more about 147. And also, the thing that I do like about Mikey Garcia is that he's on the path to this unification at 135. Robert Easter is also on the path to unification at 135 pounds. And I really do think for Mikey Garcia's career that the better, discretion is the better part of valor in this circumstance, and that unifying the 135-pound title would serve him better in the long run than going up to face Errol Spence Jr. and get utterly destroyed. I mean, when I say that I think that's going to be, I think that'd be a massacre. And so let me get into the article, because there's some real interesting things that Errol Spence Jr. said about it, and then I'll come back to it. Spence, why not make Mikey Garcia fight if he can beat Easter? New York, Errol Spence isn't calling out Mikey Garcia. The undefeated IBF welterweight champion made sure that was understood when he was asked Tuesday about possibly boxing Garcia later this year. Yet now that Garcia has brought it up, Spence is intrigued. That could happen, Spence told a small group of reporters during a luncheon at a Manhattan restaurant. Mikey Garcia is a big name. He has a great resume, and that bout could definitely happen. We fight on the same network, Showtime. We have the same manager, Al Heyman. Why not make it happen? It could happen. Garcia is a big name, He's not a big guy. Thus, the 4-division champion's ambition is admirable, but moving up 2 weight classes from lightweight to welterweight to fight the biggest, strongest champion at 147 pounds probably isn't advisable. Spence's size and strength advantages would make him a considerable favorite over Garcia, who's about 4 inches shorter than Spence and hasn't boxed above the 140-pound limit. Those concerns aside, the schedules of Spence, who's 24-0 with 21 KOs, and Garcia, who's 38-0 with 30 KOs, should align for them to fight later this year if Garcia can beat Robert Easter Jr. in their lightweight title unification fight July 28th at Staples Center in Los Angeles and aired on Showtime. Spence is firmly committed to boxing a third time in 2018, and the 2 welterweight title unification bouts he wants against the Danny Garcia, Sean Porter winner, and Keith Thurman won't be available to him by November or December. Garcia is 34-1 and 20 KOs, and Porter 28-2-1 with 17 KOs are expected to face one another for the WBC title Thurman relinquished August 25th at Barclays Center in Brooklyn. The winner won't be afforded enough time off before he would have to head back to training camp for a dangerous bout against Spence before the year ends. The often injured Thurman, who's 28-0 with 22 KOs and 1 no contest, who still holds the WBA championship, is expected to box twice more before even considering boxing Spence sometime in 2019. Spence also says he won't try to make an appealing showdown with WBO champ Terence Crawford, 33-0 with 24 KOs, until after he faces the Garcia Porter winner and Thurman. If Garcia defeats Easter, who's 21-0 with 14 KOs, the WBC lightweight champion would like to challenge WBO champion Vasyl Lomachenko next in what would be one of the biggest matches in boxing. Lomachenko, 11-1 with 9 KOs, is recovering from shoulder surgery, though, and isn't likely to take on an opponent as dangerous as Garcia in his first bout back, perhaps as early as December. Garcia's history with Bob Arum's Top Rank Incorporated, Lomachenko's promoter, and Garcia's former promoter, could complicate negotiations for Lomachenko-Garcia bout as well. If Garcia feels the Lomachenko match might not materialize, he could pursue a comparable high-profile bout. That could lead Spence and Garcia toward each other, especially since Heyman and Showtime would compensate both boxers handsomely for that bout. It definitely could work out, Spence said. If he wins because Robert Easter, that's my guy. That's my friend. So I'm not going to say Garcia is going to win, but if he does win, the fight could happen. Spence isn't chasing Garcia. He's only considering that option because his preferred bouts won't happen by the end of this year. The strong southpaw mentioned former WBO welterweight champ Jessie Vargas, 28-2-1 with 10 KOs, as a potential opponent for his next fight of this year. Spence isn't especially interested in facing Yordenis Ugas, 22-3 with 11 KOs, who's ranked number 2 by the IBF in his next bout. A bout against Garcia figures to be better received among fans, despite Spence's obvious advantages, than bouts with Vargas or Ugas. I didn't challenge him, Spence said. He challenges me. So I think the reaction would be positive. They'll probably praise him because he shows a lot of gut, a lot of hearts for moving up to fight a so-called big welterweight. So, I mean, that'd be good. And then I'm fighting a guy with a great name and a great resume. And like I've said before, that's the type of people I want to fight. So I think they'll want that bout. I think it's a big bout. I think we could make it happen. Maybe LA, maybe San Antonio, maybe Barclay, who knows? Assuming Garcia is serious about facing Spence, the 2012 Olympia is impressed. Spence isn't necessarily surprised because Garcia, who has fought as low as the featherweight limit of 126, already has moved up to 140 pounds and defeated former 4-division champion Adrian Brawner and previously undefeated former IBF junior welterweight champ Sergey Lipinets by unanimous decision in a 12-round fight by unanimous decision in 12-round fights over the past 10 months. It says he's a true champion, a true fighter, and he dares to be great, Spence said. Just to move up and fight someone who's supposedly the most feared boxer in boxing, and he's moving up to take that challenge. He's basically daring to be great, daring to be a Hall of Famer and do something that, a lot of boxers are not willing to do, especially in today's time. So kudos to him. Much respect to him for even mentioning that. But like I said, a lot of people mention a lot of things and a lot of people say a lot of things. But once it's brought to you, you know what I'm saying? People rarely accept it or live by their words. So, he could just be blowing smoke. I don't know. If the bout is offered to me, I'll take that bout, but we'll see. If Garcia 30 were to lose to Spence 28 rather than facing Lomachenko in a bout, he seemingly has a better chance to win. Fans and media might give Garcia a pass because he would have moved up 2 divisions to face an undefeated knockout artist. Kell Brook was afforded similar leeway when he moved up from welterweight to middleweight and was stopped by Gennady Golovkin in September 2016. Spence still doesn't view their potential pairing as a no-lose situation for Garcia. He could take a lot of punishment too. I'm a bigger guy, Spence said. So, I'm not going to say it's a no-lose situation for him because you're going up fighting a bigger guy, a stronger guy, a guy who can punch with both hands and has a come-forward style where basically I'm trying to punish my opponent. So it could hurt him in that aspect. I don't know. We've got to just see what happens with the Robert Easter bout. If he wins or not, we'll see what's going on. But I want a bout by the end of this year. Hopefully, I'm sure he'll want a bout by the end of this year too, depending on how he does with Robert Easter. And it could happen. So, yeah, that's the gist. That's the whole thing. That's not the gist of it. I enjoy reading those articles. So thank you for your patience. Robert Easter, first of all, Mikey Garcia, my thought on is that Mikey Garcia needs to stay down there at 100 and 135 pounds as long as he can make that weight. In that bout against Sergey Lipinets, I think that he looked chubby at 140 pounds. Not chubby in the sense of normal people chubby, right? Not like a guy that doesn't exercise, drinks beer every night type of chubby. But he just didn't look like that. He didn't look like he looked like 140 pounds is stretching where he can go. And to come up from 126 pounds and to go in after that performance with Sergey Lipinets, where Sergey Lipinets was hitting him. It's not like Mikey Garcia didn't have issues getting hit. Mikey Garcia had issues getting hit. And that was a guy that I still think that Mikey Garcia was bigger than Sergey Lipinets. Against Errol Spence, I think he's just going to get walked down and beat up. Just walk down and beat up. Because Mikey Garcia, for me, I think Mikey Garcia's got a really good jab. He's got a really good 1-2. He has very good timing. He also fights very well on the back foot. There's a lot of things I really like about Mikey Garcia. But I don't like any of those things with Mikey Garcia with Errol Spence. And I agree with what Errol Spence is saying. This is not a lose-lose. This is not a no-lose situation. And specifically, the way that they talked about one of the fights that the author, Keith Idec, much respect to Keith Idec, or Edic, I think it's Edic, that he mentioned was Kell Brook versus Gennady Golovkin, and how boxing fans can give you a pass for having moved up 2 weight classes and having lost to a bigger guy, right? And then Errol Spence brought up the point, like, nah, man, you can also get hurt. And if you get hurt, you might not be the same guy again. And I think that very well could have been the case with one of the guys that he mentioned in Kell Brook. Because, yeah, Kell Brook went up there and he got in the ring with Gennady Golovkin. He dared to be great. He dared to be the Hall of Famer. And he was serious about it. He took the bout. He didn't just talk about it. It wasn't like the scenario where Gennady Golovkin and Abel Sanchez were using Andre Ward's name and saying how, Gennady Golovkin would beat Andre Ward, knowing full well that Gennady Golovkin would have got the beating. He would have got the beating of a lifetime against Andre Ward, and then never took the bout, never took a step forward to take the bout. They just used the name to keep, in my opinion, they just used Andre Ward's name to keep Gennady Golovkin's name circulating, because he used Andre Ward's name for that, and he also used Floyd Mayweather's name for that. Number one, he used Andre Ward, he having no intention on ever getting in the ring with him, because Andre Ward at the time was the number one pound for pound guy, number two at the worst. So saying and having this, saying to your fans, look, I want Andre Ward. We can beat Andre Ward. And you never have any intention on doing it. That's that. I think Gennady Golovkin also did that with Floyd Mayweather Jr., where he was saying, they're like, this marketing himself as the guy that could beat Floyd Mayweather Jr., when anybody with common sense knows that a bout between Gennady Golovkin and Floyd Mayweather Jr. was never going to happen. That would be akin to Errol Spence Jr. marketing himself as the guy that was going to knock out Vasyl Lomachenko. Because that bout's not happening. There's no way Vasyl Lomachenko is going to move up to 147 pounds, fight Errol Spence. And if he did, yeah, absolutely, Errol Spence would be the one to knock out Vasyl Lomachenko. He'd hurt him. He's just too big. But regardless, Kell Brook did lose something in that. He lost the integrity of his facial structure, and as a result, got his eye socket broken, and then got into the ring, went back down to 147, got his other eye socket broken, and Kell Brook's not the same guy. And I'm sure there's a lot of people that believe that Kell Brook, and I know Kell Brook came in there and beat Lo Greco, in impressive, quick fashion. But a prolonged bout with Kell Brook taking consistent shots in the eye from like a Jermell Charlo, his eye socket is going to get broken again against Jermell Charlo. And that first punishment came when he bit off more than he could chew. If Mikey Garcia, I think, would be better off just being very disciplined about his weight and trying to unify at 135 pounds. And if he wants to move up to 140 pounds, then hey man, try your absolute best to get your hands on the winner of Shawn Porter. Try to beat Errol Spence Jr. to the draw and get the winner of Shawn Porter and Danny Garcia. Because I do think that Danny Garcia and Mikey Garcia would be a very good bout. And that I would be very interested to say. Now, there are guys up there at 147 pounds that I think Mikey Garcia could do some business with, in my opinion. Danny Garcia, I think that would be a good bout. I'm not going to say I would necessarily pick one guy or the other out of that. That's how much respect I've got for Mikey Garcia. That's how much respect I have for Mikey Garcia. Because I got a lot of respect for Danny Garcia. If, Mikey Garcia was fighting guys like, even like a Lucas Matthysse. If Lucas Matthysse beats Manny Pacquiao and gets that WBA regular title, and I know the WBA regular title is not the WBA super title. It's the secondary belt, but he could beat a guy like, I would take him versus Lucas Matthysse. I'd love to see that. I wouldn't mind seeing Mikey Garcia versus Omar Figueroa. There's a lot of guys at 147 that I think Mikey Garcia could do good work with. But Errol Spence Jr. it just so happens that Errol Spence Jr. is not one. And I think that he really needs to, that could be something that really does affect his career. For the rest of his career. So I think he should hopefully he's not just using the name the way, like I explained Gennady Golovkin did with Mayweather and did with Gennady Golovkin. He could be. And if he made that offer, I think it would be a mistake. I would much rather see him, first of all, if he can get past Robert Easter. And one thing I'll say about Robert Easter is if you watch how Javier Fortuna just fought Adrian Granados at 140 pounds, that tells you how kind of a wily veteran and sneaky and crafty Javier Fortuna is from that southpaw stance, and honestly how dirty a fighter he is. And I think that I think Robert Easter was doing a better job with Javier Fortuna than Adrian Granados was. But anyway, that is what it is. And look, I hope that can't wait to see this Mikey Garcia Robert Easter bout, and I'm looking forward to seeing who Errol Spence Jr. gets in the ring with next. And with that, I'm out. Peace.